Welcome back to Locked In Podcast. Before we dig into the episode today, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's episode, which is Life Advantage. Oxidative stress, it's in everybody's body on this planet. It is the leading cause of aging and disease. What if we could reduce that by 40% in just 30 days? We can. With one NRF2 activator taken daily, your oxidative stress levels will be significantly lowered while supporting the body's natural ability to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. Activate healthy aging today with one little yellow pill. If you'd like to learn more or purchase NRF2, reach out to me directly on IG at SER_Sage or visit the link tree in my bio to check out the LifeVantage website for yourself. Thank you, LifeVantage, for sponsoring today's episode. Welcome back to Locked In Podcast, Season 3, Episode 12 here today. Today I'm going to be joined by a senior at Cornerstone University, an NAIA National Tournament qualifier who was second on the team in 2024 with 26 wins at 133 pounds, Devan Johnson. So let's bring him in here, guys.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Early. Man, it's early, but it's a great day outside. It's nice.
Yeah, it's actually beautiful, which is something to say for Michigan. So
yeah, that's something I had to get used
yeah,
to.
guys. So you guys could. Yeah, no, you 100% got to get used to that for sure. You can wake up one day, it's going to be 30 degrees out. The next day it'll be 70. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, guys, you can follow Devan on Instagram as displayed on the screen here. It's oneup.dev there. So make sure you guys go follow him on Instagram there. But yeah, Devan, so let's hop into the interview today. Starting with, what age did you start wrestling and what got you into it?
I think I was 17 when I started. I was in high school. What got me into wrestling was I started playing football. I didn't start playing sports until high school. So I was a freshman playing football, and one of the head coach of my high school team, he was one of the teachers when I was in middle school. He would always like walk through the halls and try to like recruit kids that look like they might want to wrestle, because I came from like an area where it's like inner city. So you got a lot of kids who come from different backgrounds, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It was a lot of fights growing up and stuff like that. So a lot of kids, when I was in middle school, that was kind of the norm in a way. So the head coach, in order to like combat that, he would try to get kids off the streets and get them to wrestle. And then you would have coaches come and try to get them to play football and such. But he would like occasionally walk up to me and try to size me up and say, "Hey, come wrestle." And I'd be like, "All right, bro, whatever." And then I didn't really like follow up on that until I got into high school. Football coaches was like, "Hey, you want to get better at football? You know, might as well wrestle. Why not?" Tried it out. Yeah, that's how I got into it. But tried it out. First day, I remember like it was bad. Like it was bad. I didn't know anything about wrestling. Somebody put me in a cradle. I almost snapped out. I tried to fight him. And then that that made me want to come back, because I was like, man, like I ain't letting nobody like ever do that to me again. So it became a thing where I wanted to go back to try to prove something to myself. And then I never stopped going back. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's a good mentality to have. I mean, you either have that where you're going to come back in and you're going to compete and you're like, all right, I'm not going to let that happen again, or you're going to walk out and be like, yeah, I'm never doing this again.
yeah.
Yeah, but so 17 then. So were you a freshman in high school then when you started?
Sophomore. No.
Sophomore.
Yeah,
okay.
Sophomore. I graduated high school.
Yeah, and then okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So you said you played football. Was that the only other sport you played growing up, or did you play any other sports along the way?
So yeah, I did football. I did wrestling, and then in the spring I did track and field. I was a pole vaulter in high school.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Were you good at that?
Yeah, I was all right. I wasn't too crazy, but I cleared about 13, 12 feet. So
okay. I don't know if that's good or not. I've never tried pole vaulting.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. So originally from Harrisburg, PA, is that where you grew up? Is that where you spent all your time there? Coming from little Devon all the way up to to high school?
So I was born and actually grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. That's where most
Okay.
of my family's from. And then from there, I came from there to Harrisburg. I was back and forth at other places, but I would say my second home is Harrisburg. So I went to Harrisburg when I was in halfway through elementary, then middle school, and then I did all of high school in Harrisburg. So my second home. And yeah, now I'm in GR.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. Yeah. So you wrestled at Harrisburg High School then?
Yep. Yeah, I wrestled at Harrisburg High School.
Okay. Harrisburg High School there. So now take us through your high school years of competing. Obviously, you started as a sophomore. What did that look like for you coming through? You can take us sophomore year or senior year.
Yeah, so when I started my first time, like I was like competing, it was very hard. And I started in Pennsylvania. In the area that Harrisburg's in, that's like it's the real deal. There's a lot of good athletes, a lot of good wrestlers
For
come from
sure.
that area. So off the bat, I wrestled like some really good kids. I remember my first sectional tournament. I wrestled some kid who was like a state placer. I think he was like a 3-time state placer. And this is my first year wrestling. And at the end, it was like the time almost ran out and the kid had pinned me. But the ref didn't call it because he said the time ran out and the crowd went crazy. And this is my first year. I'm just some like first year wrestler kid. The whole crowd's like, this kid sucks. Get him out of here. He was pinned. And I'm over here like, man, like I don't even know what's going on. But first year was rough. I think I had like 1-2 wins. Finished with a losing record, of course.
Okay.
Second year, sophomore year, or no, junior year, I figured it out a little bit. Started winning a little bit more matches. I wrestled in the summer, which helped me a lot. Wrestling in the summer, I don't think I would have gotten as good as I am now if I didn't like participate in going to club practices and going to Team Namen and Law. They're the two clubs that I went to primarily when I was out there in Harrisburg. So yeah, I did a lot of summer wrestling, helped me out when I got back into school for the season. And then my senior year, I did pretty good. I went undefeated. That was COVID year actually, so we didn't do any tournaments that year. But I went undefeated in the regular season. I wrestled at 145. I was a little small for that weight, but it was COVID year and I was being arrogant and it was my last year. So I was like, whatever, I'm not cutting down to 138. I didn't want to cut any weight. And so I was at a spot where I'm probably too big for 38, but I was too small for 145. So yeah, I went undefeated in the regular season. And then in sectionals went 0-2. And that was a shocking moment because all throughout my career, I knew I wanted to wrestle in college. I just didn't think I was ever good enough, and I didn't think coaches would be ever interested in looking at me or trying to recruit me and stuff. And all I really had going for me at that time was, my senior year, it was all right. It was pretty good. Never in high school did I ever make it anywhere past sectionals or what you guys in Michigan might call conference or whatever it is. Like I never made it past that first qualifier. So never was a district qualifier, nor a state qualifier, any of that stuff. And so that kind of like when my season ended my senior year, I was kind of like, dang, like I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But at that time I was new to Christianity. I was a believer at the time, and so that kind of warmed my heart because I realized like God's in control, and whatever it is, whatever happens, it's God's will. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean it's so for everybody that doesn't know that's listening to this, I mean if there's wrestlers listening to this, they absolutely know. Pennsylvania is number one for wrestling. Pennsylvania's wrestling is like Texas's football, right? That's the best way to kind of describe that. So it is extremely tough, especially starting as a sophomore in high school. You obviously, the first year's expected in Pennsylvania obviously to be rough, but then when you make it your whole senior year, regular season undefeated, that's insane. Actually, that's a really good accomplishment to go through in Pennsylvania. And then as far as what you're talking about sectionals, We have conference tournament, which actually isn't a lead into state. Like you can not place at conference, and then we have district, regionals, state, and you got to place top 4 districts, top 4 regionals to make it to state. So did you guys have sectionals, districts, regionals, then state, or is it sectionals, regionals, state?
We had sectionals, districts, regionals, and states in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so that just makes it even harder then, because then you have a whole nother tournament you have to make it through, and I mean it's tough.
A lot of times you'll see like if you're even a state qualifier in Pennsylvania, you're good enough to probably go D1. Like I knew guys who never placed at states in Pennsylvania and are like all Americans in college and stuff like that. So, I mean, it get real out there.
It does. It's that's something that many people don't even understand. They're like, oh well, you didn't make it to state, oh, you're not that good. Well, that's not how that works, especially in PA, man.
So,
so you're at the end of your high school career. You said college wrestling. Was that something you anticipated on doing then? You said you didn't believe necessarily you were good enough. Did you wanted to wrestle, but did you have some options coming out of high school then at that point?
So I didn't really get talked to about college wrestling until after my senior season. Like I said, when I had right after I lost that sectionals, I kind of had it in my head that I'm either gonna wrestle in college, I'm gonna find a way, I'm gonna figure it out, or I'm probably gonna join the military. One of the two. Those are my two biggest options.
Okay.
And so started looking around. A couple D3 college ended up reaching out to me, like Lycoming and Messiah University and some local D3 schools. I took some visits, talked to a couple coaches, and I knew for a fact that I wanted to wrestle at a Christian school. One of those reasons was because my first time ever walking into a college mat room, it was at Messiah University. At the time, they were Messiah College back in the day, but my high school coach was a wrestler at Messiah College. When he was in college, he was a 133 pounder as well, and he would take us in the room sometimes in the summertime just to wrestle with some college guys and train with the head coach, Coach Brunt. He helped me out a lot when I was in high school, and it gave me a different perspective on what the sport of wrestling can be, because I came from Harrisburg, where completely different environment. Like wrestling got me out of a lot of trouble and it took a lot of my time, but at the same time, it was still that inner city vibe in there, and it was a lot different going into Messiah's room and seeing that you can worship God while putting your all in the sport, and seeing the environment, and everybody's like, these guys are all brothers, they're beating each other up, and after they're singing about Jesus. And to me, that was like, I don't know what this kind of piece is, but I want to figure it out. I want a piece of it. And this is before I became a Christian. This is one of the things that led me into wanting to become a Christian when I first walked into the room. And it gave me a different perspective. So then right then and there, I realized maybe I should probably wrestle at a Christian school. This is something that I want to be part of. And I remember Coach Williamson, Chris Williamson, he's my head coach now, but he was at Liberty University at the time. They had a really, really good team. He was recruiting me to go wrestle there, and took a visit to Liberty, and it was really nice. It was a big campus. Then he ended up taking a head coaching job at Cornerstone University, and they were starting their program. He was going to be the head coach there, and I don't. From what I can remember, he said that he didn't think I'd be interested in going to Cornerstone. It's an NAIA school, small Christian school in Michigan. I was already getting the lead on Liberty. So I had ended up reaching out to him personally and saying, hey, I might be interested in joining you, because I kind of developed a good relationship with Coach Chris. So took a visit out there, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So obviously I know Chris Williamson. He's a great guy. Great man of faith. And so seeing him take over that program back when 4 years ago, went for him come through and and develop that program into something. And obviously you were talking about Liberty. That was where you probably were anticipating going. So was it him? Was it the fact, that it was a Christian university that was just a startup? What was the main thing that attracted you there? And then what made you actually leave PA then?
One, what made me leave PA is I did not want to be in. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want to be home. I didn't need to be home, because it just wasn't the best fit for me. And I knew I gotta,
Okay.
I gotta make better choices and stuff like that. So I didn't want to be close to home at all. Too much distraction, all that. So I researched Grand Rapids, and I'm a city boy, so like Grand Rapids is a great city to live in. I think out of all the other options that I had, like Liberty's in the middle of Lynchburg, in the middle of Virginia, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons for me. And then I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Yeah, so that was the main thing, just that, and then obviously being a Christian university, that's what kind of drug you into it. And you're saying like, yeah, I trusted Coach Chris, and then that Christian aspect of it was the big part, right?
Yeah. When I first got to meet Coach Chris, he seemed to be like a very wise guy, very like outgoing, very someone you can like just walk up to and talk to and stuff like that. And so for me, seeing him and the way he was, it was easier for me to have conversations with him and kind of talk to him and learn things from him and stuff like that. So, and he made a lot of effort into learning about me and trying to get me ready for college.
That's awesome. So dig into your time at Cornerstone now. How was the environment for you being a startup NAIA program and you being one of the first to actually join the team? How hard was that? Talk about that time through the transition of that program actually starting up.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. So my freshman year, I remember we had, I think, eight kids on the team. It was crazy. The room wasn't completely finished, so we had in the beginning of the season, we had the roll up mats in the main gym to wrestle at like 6 a.m. We had 2 days, so we would wrestle at 6 a.m. And me, freshman year, now I'm not a morning person, but freshman year I was definitely not a morning person. So waking up 6 a.m. and the mats were kind of hard too. So we would wake up, go roll the mats out, go wrestle, and it was a awakening experience because this is something I wasn't really like used to. I wasn't used to like pushing myself really hard at 6 a.m. Like I'm not a morning person. I don't like working out. I didn't like working out in the morning at the time. So that was rough. But we kind of grew very close because we had a small team. So it was easy for everybody to kind of get to know each other and become like we became brothers pretty quick. One of my best friends now is Trevor Marsman. I know he was on your podcast not too long ago, but he was my training partner every single day, because we were the only lightweights. We didn't have a 141 pounder my freshman year. He didn't come into the second half of the year, but every day we trained with each other and we beat each other up, and we got to know each other in that way. So it was good. There was a lot of good things that came from it my freshman year because we didn't really have everything that we have now. We had to create our own culture. Coach Chris, he always talks about how he didn't want to push us as hard. He didn't want anyone to quit freshman year compared to now. But we did a lot of crazy workouts freshman year. Freshman year was it was crazy as far as training. It was pretty crazy. But it was fun though. my biggest, I would say my biggest struggle. Oh, sorry, bro.
Yep, go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead. Your biggest struggle. Go ahead.
My biggest struggle was cutting weight. That was my biggest struggle.
Yeah, that's so you were talking about that. You said you were a 45 pounder in PA your senior year. What made you decide to go down to 33?
I remember Coach Chris telling me that I could probably be a 41 pounder in college. And I was like, bro, that's perfect. Mm-hmm. Then I got there and he was like, hey, maybe you should go 33. And mind you, I never wrestled in college, so I don't know what this, I don't know the significance of going 33 and going 41. But yeah, I mean, I got there. He was like, "Hey, you're gonna be a 33 pounder." And at the time when he first mentioned it, I thought he was joking, because I'm like, I never cut more than, I came to college. I think I came in at like 150. So I was like, dude, this dude's joking. Like, I'm not gonna cut 20 pounds. Like, that's insane. And I ended up, cutting the weight. I cut the weight. It was my first time cutting weight, cutting that much weight, during the wrestling season. So it was new to me. We didn't have like a crazy amount of resources for me to cut weight at Cornerstone. So I had to figure out a lot of things on my own. And I missed weight my first ever tournament. No, not my first ever. Yeah, I missed weight my first time going 133.
Okay.
That was an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Going so now bring us year by year. So your freshman year, how did it go? Obviously transition into a program that was a startup. How did your first freshman year finish out, and then take us through all the way to your senior year?
So freshman year, our freshman year was a big wake up call. Different styles of training that I had to get used to. I had to acclimate to, and one thing I had to make sure I told Coach Chris was to be blunt with me in any situation, whatever it is, whatever I need to know, or whatever you got to tell me. Don't sugarcoat it. Be honest, because one of my biggest challenges for me myself was my mental aspect. Mentally, I could go off the path and kind of get in my head a little bit, and it kind of impacted my performance in practice and then when I wrestled. So trying to have him be my mentor in that aspect helped me a lot. And then I remember our first competition was at Michigan State, and that was wild. First ever college match was at Michigan State, and it was crazy. I went 0-2, but Trevor he placed 6, I believe. That's when we knew like we had a guy, like we had a pretty good guy on our team, when he placed 6 at the Michigan State Open. And being in that environment, seeing like how real college wrestling can get, that right there was like so motivating, and it was so humbling. It was a very humbling experience. So throughout my freshman year, I just wanted to get better at wrestling. I didn't really I still struggled mentally. And then cutting weight, I missed weight twice my freshman year. But I think I won about 9 matches my freshman year, finished with a losing record. I remember at conference, so in the NAI, for you to qualify, it's kind of like how the D1 qualifiers work. There's bids. There's a bid system. Okay. I don't know if you knew that, but there's a bid system. And my freshman year conference, we had two bids in my weight class, 2 twins. Both of them. One was a national champion. The other one was a runner-up. They were the Gibson twins from Indiana Tech, so they were pretty good. And they were some big 33 pounders. And that when I wrestled those guys, I realized like, all right, maybe I got to focus on 33. Maybe 41's not for me, because those guys, they were like, in college, you'll see guys who are like 133 or 141, and you'll be like, there's no way. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was my freshman year.
Sophomore I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like they were tall, and you could tell they worked out, and they trained pretty hard. So taking those losses from guys like that motivated me a little bit more to try to figure it out. And so sophomore year, I kind of took a step up to training a little bit more seriously. One of the biggest things that kind of always set me back was my diet, and I did not get any extra workouts in my freshman and sophomore year at college. I didn't understand the concept of like getting 2 or 3 workouts in the day. I thought you would, like, if you want to be D1 maybe, but like I didn't understand that concept, so I would just go to practice. I did the bare minimum, you know what I mean? Go to practice, cut weight, whatever, and go eat crap, and that worked out in some circumstances, but it didn't get me where I wanted to be. It didn't get me anywhere in conference. It didn't get me anywhere when it really mattered. So going into my junior year, I took it a little bit more serious. I started training a lot in the summertime. I did a lot of training in the summertime, helped out coach my high school team and stuff like that. And then when the season started, I went really hard in the preseason. I went really hard in preseason, and I started taking practice a lot more seriously. I got a little bit mature, which also helped, but I took practice a lot more seriously. Going in, I started getting extra workouts in. And that helped tremendously. Getting in some drilling, I got a lot of running in, so my cardio was always really good. And mentally, I think I kind of figured out like what it means to be a wrestler in the mental aspect. So
Yeah.
junior year is where I really popped off, and then senior year or junior year I did qualify, made it to nationals, had a great season. I think I went 20, 26 and like 10 or something like that. And then I went 0-2 at conference. I wrestled I seen some really good talent at the national tournament. It was and keep in mind that was my first time ever being in a post season tournament. So not even being a state qualifier, just being at the national tournament. I remember warming up, looking around like, yo, these guys probably the real deal. You know what I mean? So that was a great experience. And then senior year went really good, but I didn't qualify. I placed third. I think the bids for my weight class this year was 2 bids. I placed third, and I didn't get the wild card bid, and that was a bummer. But I mean, at this point in my life, I'm strong enough in my faith to where it wasn't a detrimental circumstance for me. You know, I was just thankful to be there. I was just thankful to be able to wrestle and get on the mat. So didn't cry about it, didn't whine about it, just accepted it and, give it to God. So
that's awesome, man. I the main thing, that I was listening to all that, and then I want to touch on a couple things. So your mindset with your mentality in wrestling that's number one, right? If you don't have your mind on right, you will never be a successful wrestler. It is just what it is. Now, as far as your struggles outside of the mat, obviously your faith as you grew, as you got more mature, your faith probably was the main thing that actually kept you in check, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure. And being at Cornerstone, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to come to Cornerstone, there weren't many distractions. So I didn't have too many distractions to knock me off my path. It was easy. It was easy for me to stay focused. I go to class, go to practice, eat right during the day, go to practice, and then after practice or before practice, I would get some drilling in, go to practice, and then after practice, I get like a workout, a small workout, and I run like 3 or 4 miles. I did that every single day during my junior year, and I had to realize one thing that helped me mentally in that aspect is you gotta suffer sometimes if you want to be good. If you want to be successful, you gotta learn how to accept that suffering is good in some circumstances. Like you got to do things you don't want to do, and it's gonna help you. But yeah.
You hit the nail on the head on that one, man. It's with anything you want to do in life, if you don't have the work ethic and you don't do the extra mile, it's just not going to happen. And so that's great that you came to reality with that. And obviously that was the best season that you had, is when you actually did the extra workout, you put in the extra time, right? Cornerstone is a Christ-centered university, right? Talk about the importance of your faith through your whole journey. Talk about that, just everything you want to touch on with that, with faith involved with that, because Cornerstone being such a close university for us, like as a wrestling coach right now at a club, we have a lot of guys that, quote unquote, aren't D1, and Cornerstone is a great environment to send them through, especially if they're Christ-centered individuals.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things we probably have going for us at Cornerstone is development. We got a lot of guys, like I'm one example, but we got a lot of guys who aren't the best coming out of high school and they want to get better. you will get better at Cornerstone. I guarantee it. If you put your mind to it and you listen and you allow our coaches to develop you, you will develop. And that's a fact. Like I'm an example. We have many other examples. One of our guys who didn't qualify his first 2 years, he qualified for nationals this year, Joe Lashaway.
Awesome.
Like I think that development is one of the biggest things we got going at Cornerstone. But as far as faith-based at Cornerstone, Cornerstone is like I mentioned earlier, there's not many distractions. It's a very conservative school. You won't find any secular ideologies at that school. You know what I mean? So it's easy to keep your mind focused on what you need to stay focused on, because you'll get that Christian aspect in everywhere you go on campus, in classes, at practice. You'll get that everywhere, and probably even your roommates and stuff like that, even your RAs and your RD. So it's very easy to maintain focus and stay on track and do what you got to do there. So, but the resources that they have that I had access to, like, also helped as well. Like, we don't got the craziest sport facilities, but we got a lot of opportunities that you can take upon yourself to get closer to Christ. Help with your mentality. Like, we have free therapy and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
And all the professors, they're very, very, very cool. Like, you can talk to your professors, as if you knew them personally, and get to know them, and they'll help you out in your journey with Christ as well, alongside, your classes and stuff like that.
It's great to hear. That's great to hear that you guys had resources like that. That's something that I think every college should have. It's every young man or young lady that's coming through with sports. You need that. You really do. And I didn't necessarily have that. And I battled through a lot of injuries. I had 5 knee surgeries and an elbow surgery. And, during that time, it was more so like, hey, put in the extra work then if you don't feel comfortable. That's like, well, that's not really what I need at this point,
Yeah.
So that would have helped me a lot. I didn't have anything around me really, especially when I was out at college and I was at Lock Haven in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And that's that's really where I just had a lot of struggles mentally as well. And I'm glad I stepped away. I kind of had to step away with injuries, but I'm glad I stepped away when I did, because that's when my life could have taken a turn for the worse too.
Yeah.
So you're a senior now, Devin, right? So are you coming back for a grad year at Cornerstone, or what's next for you at this point?
I start grad school on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, start Monday. I graduate tomorrow, actually. And yeah, my next step is to, I start class on Monday. I'll be a grad assistant coach at Cornerstone. So, for any recruits coming in or anybody, that's thinking about coming through, I mean, you guys have my Instagram, hit me up, ask me questions, call me, whatever you want to do. I love helping guys, so reach out. But yeah, those are my next step. Just coaching. I'll be there for the next 2 years while I get my master's degree in business administration. So
awesome. So you have your coaching. Are you going to compete anymore? Are you a freestyle guy? Is that something that you would do, or what's your opinion on that?
That's a good question. So I trained freestyle in Greco when I was in Pennsylvania, but I never got the opportunity to wrestle. I remember my senior years when I started training it. I ended up, I think I broke my hand or something. Like, I had some type of broken bone. I don't remember which one it was. I broke a couple bones, but it prohibited me from wrestling in the summer. Wrestling freestyle in Greco, so never got the opportunity to do that. And then I didn't do much of it in college. I was so focused on trying to get better at folk style, I kind of forgot about freestyle and Greco. But this year we kind of jumped back into it, and I'm kind of starting to fall back in love with it again. So I don't know. I'm thinking about trying to see if I can figure something out. I would love to keep competing. Obviously not as much as I did in college, but I would love to get back on the mat and try to see where I am. And if I feel like, I got a good chance at making a team or something like that, I would definitely try it out. So.
Okay, that's great. So you got 2 years of grad school. You're going to be a grad assistant coach there at Cornerstone. Your degree is sports administration, you said there. Do you have an idea of what you want to do once you graduate grad school? Do you want to continue coaching, or what's your plan career-wise after that?
Hopefully I would love to continue coaching. Next week I'll be going to the NCAA Coaches Academy. And so part of that opportunity is they want to give their time to guys who want to coach later in their life. And so, I made that commitment, and I'm gonna do that next week. And like I said, hopefully I keep on coaching in the future. I plan on doing that. And then probably on the side, my master's degree is gonna be in business admin with a focus in project management. So I think I might want to become a project manager at some point. Yeah.
So when you say project manager, what would that entail?
So a project manager, so different companies, small or big, usually they hire or contract project managers, or they will hire them into a department, and you'll have like a big business or a big organization might have a project manager lead, like for example, like a construction company. They hire project managers to deal with construction projects. So those guys you see that go on site with the hard white hat, those guys, they're project managers. Different companies though can have project managers, like marketing companies, obviously construction. You got what are some other companies, like industrial companies and stuff like that. My cousin, he's a project manager. He works for General Electric, and I think his department is like nuclear energy or something like that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool job. I think it's very, very it's a very good job to have, especially if you have like a family and stuff like that, and it pays well. So
yeah. And would you be interested in being a project manager for something specific, or would you just kind of see what comes your way?
My honestly, whatever comes my way, my specialty, or my where I'm probably gonna be good at is marketing. My minor's in digital marketing, and I find myself to be pretty good at that. So probably in like a marketing department or something for like a marketing company.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. That's awesome to hear. Now I'm going to take a little turn here. Right. So looking at your Cornerstone University bio on the Cornerstone website there, your favorite Bible verse is Galatians 6:9, which is, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for all the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Explain why that's your favorite. And I think I have an understanding as to how it relates to wrestling for sure.
Yeah, that's easy. When my coach Chris used to pound us with that verse all the time in practice. He would always, after practice, he would always give us like a little devotional, and he would give us some wisdom and stuff. One of the things that helped us out a lot. But he would always talk about Galatians 6:9, and he would always kind of tie it into when I had mentioned suffering. And it says, do not grow weary of doing what's good, for in due time you'll reap a reward. I mean, for me, that looked like, don't grow weary of working hard. Like, don't grow weary of doing the right, like, eat well, sleep well, treat people the way they should be treated. And a lot of times when you find yourself doing things, you're checking off the list. You're doing what you got to do. You feel like, you ever been like in a moment in your life where you feel like you're doing everything the right way, and then you might hit a bump, and it's like, dang, I'm doing these things the right way, but I'm not finding success in the areas I want to find success. And so for me, that was like, even if I don't win, even if I have a bad day in practice, even if I'm having a bad day generally, don't grow weary. Like, continue to keep doing these things. Continue to go hard in practice. When you get tired, keep going. If you get taken down 20 times in practice, get back up. Try to get another takedown. If your weight cut is going hard and you're doing the right things, but it's getting hard, just keep going. Figure it out. And for me, that was like it proved itself in my life, because even when I hit those road bumps and I still continue to do the things that I needed to do, I reaped the reward. And that was one of the biggest roadblocks I had to figure out, going from freshman, sophomore to junior years, when I figured out that if you just continue to keep going and trust in God and do the things that you got to do, you know, you'll get what you, not necessarily might not be what you want, but you will get something good out of it. So
that's great. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna have to go back through and read Galatians 6 there and go through that a little bit more. I like that. Now, favorite sports figure in your Cornerstone bio is Khabib. Is that still true? And why is that?
I should probably say true. Even though he's a Muslim, nothing against that guy. I just love his attitude, his demeanor. I love that humble mindset that he has. He is one of the few examples in sports that I think every athlete should follow. You're like, nowadays when you look at MMA, you look at any other sport, you see like, you know, what I see is I see things that, you know, many kids probably shouldn't follow. Like, you watch these boxing fights and you go to these press conferences and you see all that trash talking. For me as an athlete, I'm not that type of athlete. I don't like to do any excessive celebrations. Like, if you look at any of my matches, you will never really like ever see me celebrate, even in my wins and even in losses. Like, if I lose, you know, be humble, be respectful, and shake hands, get off the mat. Sometimes, you know, mentally I wasn't where I needed to be, and I kind of failed at that, but I always kept that in the back of my head. And watching Khabib and seeing the type of person that he was, when he was like around the time when he was like fighting McGregor, and seeing all that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It kind of gave me a good perspective on the type of athlete you should probably be. And there are many other examples like Khabib, but he's one of the biggest ones, I think so.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was a good one. I had to throw that in here because I thought that was a good one. So now starting a new segment on the podcast here, guys. It's called the 5 Things You Can't Live Without. So let's throw this on up here. I did make Devan a little bit aware of this, so he had an idea of 5 things that he can't live without in his daily routine. So Devan, go ahead. 5 things you can't live without in your daily routine right now.
So number 1, prayer. Prayer is one of the biggest things I try to keep in my daily routine, whether it be at night or in the morning. When I remember, sometimes I forget to pray, but when I do remember, I try to do it both at night and during the day. But always try to wake up and pray first thing in the morning. Always pray, and then read my Bible. Sometimes I forget to do that, but I always try to read like maybe a chapter, depending on how long, short it is. And then I try to keep that in my routine. Music, I think, is a big one for me. I love music. Like, music is everything for me. Is I use
What's
music.
What's your favorite genre for music? What do you listen to?
My favorite genre, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have one. I listen to many genres. I like a little bit of country. I like a little bit of folk. I listen to like pop, and I listen to a lot of Spanish music, and then I listen to a lot of gospel music as well. So I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but just music in general is you know, strong for me. And then I like to go on walks. Something that I just like recently started doing, like maybe last year, and then going into this year, I go on a lot of walks. I think, like, especially during the day, just going for a walk, listening to music, clearing my head. Usually I like play some gospel music and clear my head and pray sometimes. And then workout is number 5. I like to try to get some type of workout in during the day. So
that's great. That's a good list there. I like the walking part too. For me, my knees suck. So it's like going on long walks. I do not like to do that, but you know, taking my dog, and I walk with my wife a lot, and it's fun to just kind of go and settle down from everything, kind of leave your phone inside and take in God's creation. Right.
Yeah. I do a lot of like self-reflection.
That's great. Yeah, go ahead. Self-reflecting, you said?
Yeah. Like, when I go for walks, I do a lot of self-reflecting in those moments, like trying to figure out what I think about things that I do and things that I might have said during the day, or the past week, and I try to fix those things and understand those things when I go on walks and do a lot of self-evaluation and stuff like that.
That's great. It's awesome to hear, man. But yeah, so we're a couple months into 2025 now. What would this next year look like for you if you could paint the picture? Obviously, you're graduating, starting grad school. What is this next year going to look like for you if you could paint the picture?
So next year, like I said, I'll be coaching at Cornerstone. So I just learned yesterday they're getting me an office and within the athletic department. I didn't know that. So that's pretty cool. I never had an office before, so it's my first time having an office. So that's pretty cool. Nice little upgrade, I guess. But yeah, I'll probably find myself being there a lot, getting some work done, working on my classwork, and then helping Coach Chris out. So with being an assistant coach or a graduate assistant, I'll have to do a lot of coaching stuff, helping out with recruitment, planning for planning for the season, how we're gonna travel, logistics like food, and all other necessities, and then just figuring out how we can make our team better, how we can make our team grow, and that's probably what I'm gonna be putting a lot of my time into next year. So,
yeah, that's great. I think the recruiting process will be a fun thing for you too. Just kind of getting in with the guys and being a mentor for them in terms of wrestling and in terms of their faith walk. That'll be great.
Yeah. So
yeah. So Devan, I really appreciate you joining. I enjoyed the conversation. It's great to hear everybody's story. This is a big passion of mine. Just interviewing people and understanding their story through a sport. It doesn't have to be a sport, but lately it's been a lot of wrestlers on here. So it's a great sport, and it's a sport of that I think teaches you the most about life. So it's been great talking with you on here, and I appreciate you joining me for episode 12.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys, everybody, appreciate you guys watching back home. Don't forget to follow Devan at oneup.dev on Instagram. Follow the podcast at official_locked in podcast for all the updates there. Again, Devan, thank you again, and best of luck in the years to come, man.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.